Hello, happy Friday. I want to welcome you to this month's Career Clinic Live. I'm Sinead Sharkey-Steenson. I love the mouthful that is. I'm the founder of Generation Women and career elevator coach and leadership coach. And I'm delighted to welcome the wonderful Virginia Mendez today. So, I don't know how best to introduce you because Virginia is a friend. I feel like I'm interviewing a lot of my friends. I know a lot of really impressive people, so I'm delighted to have one of my bestest friends here today. Virginia is somebody that I have admired for forever since the day I met her. She just blows me away on a regular basis. We regularly walk together, and I love that she challenges my thinking continuously. She's like my feminist guide and guru. So, and one of the ways you describe yourself, which I love, is a professional feminist. And we'll get you to talk about that. She's a public speaker. She does amazing sessions on a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today. She's the co-founder of the Feminist Shop, and she is a kick-ass author. Like, she has written children's books, and she now has published a book called Childhood Unlimited. So it's about how to parent beyond gender stereotypes. And I turned down being one of the pre-readers of it because I was just so busy at the time. I've now read it in my own time and bought the book, and it's phenomenal. She's just epic. So welcome, Virginia.
Thanks for having me and all those compliments. Now I'm already fired up for the day. That's gonna keep me alive for the weekend.
Brilliant. And it's really lovely to have you here to share. So, do you want to talk a bit about your career and how you've ended up becoming a professional feminist? What even is that?
We make up my own title. Actually, I borrowed it from a friend. But yeah, so I guess I started. So I studied law and business. I originally want to be a politician, and then I wanted to be. I don't even know if you knew that, but I wanted.
No. Did you see my eyes pop?
No, I wanted to be a politician. Probably I will have been the opposite ideology that I'm now. So I'm glad I wasn't. And then I decided to study law and business just to be a better politician. Just you need to understand the law, you need to understand how money works, just to provide good economy. And I loved it. But then the politician part waters off, and I started working in corporate. So I worked in Deloitte, Big Four, proud parents. There you go, you're set up. And it wasn't really for me. It's just corporate is not for everyone. It was definitely not for me. So I realized that when I got there, I was very much myself. And by the time I finished, I had to leave because I was like, I don't recognize the person I'm becoming in this place. I was scared and I was tired and I was crying and I was just like, look, I'm too young for this shit. Sorry for the swearing. So then we moved. Chris, my husband, is from here, from Northern Ireland. The accent is from Spain, so that's where I'm from. So we left Spain and we came here, and I started working in PwC. Again, if corporate is not for you, it's just not for you. And then I worked with a smaller company, and it was female-led in recruitment, and it was international, and it was good because I love languages. But then by the time, and at the same time that my career journey was happening, I guess my feminist journey was happening. So from not identifying as a feminist at all till, well, I see a little bit, to then be like, okay. And I feel like it's very easy to, things snowball pretty quickly. So once you start seeing things and once you start getting angry about things, it's very easy to continue that. Like, how can people not see that? I think for me also, there is an element of interculture. So I guess when I came to Ireland or to Northern Ireland, a lot of things were like, whoa, what is happening? But that also helped me to understand the sexism that I didn't realize in Spain. Like, oh, just
Mm.
because it's different sexes doesn't mean it's none. So I guess there's been a lot of deconstruction and unlearning and relearning and being very angry.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. I can understand that. And you saying going on your feminist journey, I don't know if you experienced this, but I like roll back 20 years, and if you'd have said, "Are you a feminist, Sinead?" I would have recoiled in horror at the thought of that, because, and you could probably explain this better than I can, but because of how feminism has been portrayed through time, through the media, and through all these things, and it's like, no, I'm not a feminist, but I am into equality.
yeah, basically a feminist. Just don't give me the stigma of it.
Yeah, just don't give me that word. But now I'm like, yeah, I'm a total card carrying feminist. I'm all in. Like, what was I thinking? But that's what we've been trained into.
Oh, 100%. And there's, as you said, like it's the media portrait, the stigma, and the whole things that we prioritize. So even the fact, like, when I talk to people, it's like, yeah, but some men feel uncomfortable with the word. It's like, yeah, and the fact that my oppression makes men feel uncomfortable, and that's more important that how I'm feeling is part of the problem. So whenever people suggest, should we change the name, it's like, no. Like, you can't change the name. I mean, because the change is, making peace with the problem. It's part of the solution. But if we keep just making it about something that is not, then there is a problem.
Yeah.
But so um I guess whenever by the time I got pregnant with Eric, I was already like, yeah, this is happening. And I decided to write a book for him or for my kids or for kids. And it was all about gender stereotypes and how, kids questioning adults about why they're treated differently. Because I think there's so much power in kids to unlock a lot of things, because parents, it's much easier. Like, I know that with me people might get threatened or with another adult, but kids are just kids, and whenever kids question things, it's much easier to be open to their reasoning, because it feels genuine and naive. There's obviously not an agenda or a man hating behind it. It's just kids questioning, why are we treated differently? So I wrote that first book. Then I've launched it with Chris, with my husband, the Feminist shop, which I love. And it's all about articles and resources. And it's obviously a shop as well. So everything is ethically produced. And we sell over 500 books, but also apparels and gifts that make a statement and start conversations. Because I realized that my whole journey is being defined by conversations. People that took the time to challenge my views, people that told me I was wrong, or people that just opened new possibilities and new ideas of things that didn't even cross my mind. So that's what we want to do. We want to empower people to have those conversations, just not to put those things under the carpet. And then, yeah, then I wrote the other children's book, which is all about consent. And then my parenting book, which I love, which is Childhood Unlimited. Because, yeah, I was just trying to keep having those conversations with people. And there's so much you can do. But if you write it, then people can have this conversation at their own pace. So, yeah, I think the last 4 years things have moved quite fast. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next 4 and 20. See where
Yeah.
it brings me.
Yeah, me too. So Virginia and I on our walks often have angry talks, but also visionary talks of what we're going to do to change the world. And I've no doubt that you're going to have continue to grow your impact.
Mm.
Well, it's interesting you saying there about parenting, because I think that was when I really started to uh, embrace the whole feminism, not just equality, but no, I'm calling this out now, because I started to see the world differently through their eyes. And even before they could talk, it was just that thing of just noticing what was filtering into them. And my moment was actually when I was having a nap one day while planting my child in front of the TV. And it was kids advertising that got me so angry. And I just thought, my kid's head is being pumped with this toxicity. You know, this is what girls should be and this is what boys should be. And it made me a very angry mummy and an angry woman. And I went off and I went down the politics route briefly. But
hopefully you'll be back. Maybe you should be back.
Oh, maybe when I'm tired. Someday, maybe we'll team up and we'll start our own political party. But yeah, thinking about those childhood influences, I mean, there's nobody in the world, I think, knows more than you about how those influences create stereotypes and the impact of that. So do you want to share some of the key learnings?
Yeah, and I think it's very important because I speak with a lot of women that don't identify as feminists, and they always say, like, I just haven't experienced it. I've never experienced sexism. It's like, no, but you have experienced sexism. You might not realize, you might not, it might have become who you are and you don't hate it, but we can't deny that we are severely influenced by sexism from the moment we're born. And actually, one of the things that I found very interesting when I was doing the research for my book is that it happens before we're born. Like one of the experiments, it's based on the way we refer the language we use whenever the babies are still in the belly and they're kicking. And if they know the sex, when they're boys, they're referred as future great footballers. And if it's girls, it's like dramatic or like, oh, she's going to be feisty. And it's all that completely different understanding of who we are going to be. So in one is like hard emotions and the other one is like very physical and sporty. And if you think about all the things that are influential and shaping them, shaping the brains and shaping the ideas and expectations that they have from their moment, in the book I split it in the books we read them, and so if you just get any book and see the massive presence of boys, but not only that, but or male characters, but also their roles, the fact that they're preys or predators versus prey, big versus small, like the butterfly and the lion. So all those kind of things, the toys, the clothes, the language, the films, it's just a lot, and it's always the same message. So I think whenever people think I'm overreacting because it's just one toy, Virginia, what do you think this one toy it's gonna do your kids? There's no problem with this one toy if we were in an island. The problem is that it's everything we throw at kids is extremely genderized, and the messages are very clear. So whenever you don't see yourself represented in a variety and in a diverse way anywhere, women are carers. You get any book, you get any TV, and we are like the mothers and the teachers and any caring figures. Whenever we always have to be pretty and young and big lashes and all those things, kids are watching and kids are learning and kids are understanding that that's what they're expected to be. So yeah, I think the problem is awareness. I think people don't realize.
Yeah, I agree, because I noticed a big change in my two girls when they went to nursery. So up until that point, we'd had some level of control of having a real mixture of toys and the books. If any books I didn't agree with made it into the house, I would cross out the words I didn't like or change the ending of the book or whatever. Like my kid's favorite ending was always, will you marry me? Don't be ridiculous. We've only just met. I don't need a husband anyway, kind of thing. And they would repeat that back to me. But when they went to nursery, all bets were off, they suddenly became obsessed with pink and only playing with certain toys and all of these things. And so there's so much that you can't control. So we do need to change people's thinking around it, because it's everywhere.
It is a bit daunting, I think, whenever you realize. And I think one of the big efforts I make in the book is just to make it less overwhelming, as in, we're not going to win this battle. I mean, you're doing just fine. Because I think also as parents, there's a huge element of guilt. I think we feel guilty about everything. Am I feeding the right thing? Am I doing the right method? Am I, carrying enough, co-sleeping enough, too much? I think there's so many parenting things that it becomes that I'm breaking them. I'm breaking my child. It was going to be an awesome person, and now it's wrong because this one thing. But at the same time, it's very easy to change things when you notice them. It comes very naturally. I mean, for me, it's very natural to know which clothes I just won't buy. It is not an effort to do, just to realize and see, oh, well, now that I've seen the different in messages or in slogans or in textures or in shoes or whatever it is that I'm talking about, in toys or in books, it just becomes much more easy to make choices that are more aligned. The other thing is that role modeling and critical thinking are the two biggest things. So we won't be able to change the society, although I promise you I'm trying my absolute best to get everything changed. And I know you are too, and all the women that you teach and that you coach, they're also doing their bit. So we are all doing our best to get the society in a little bit better shape. But until we do that, we do have a great opportunity to teach kids about critical thinking and why is that, isn't it awkward, oh, don't you think it's weird, like, oh, have you checked that, what do you think about that, is that how you see mommy, what do you think? Those conversations, the moment to have them is as soon as possible, obviously at their level. But I think with sexism or with racism or with any kind of difficult conversation, we tend to leave it until they're older and they understand. But it's like, by the time they understand, it's too late because they've already had an idea. So it's about to start, letting them unpack things and give them another perspective and another dimension, because otherwise they'll have to unlearn what they've learned and then relearn. And that's what we're doing. I mean, that's definitely what I'm doing. I'm unlearning constantly and realizing that a lot of my core beliefs and a lot of the things that I took for granted were wrong. And then I have. So if we can save our kids all that process and just teach them to be curious and to be inquisitive and to just wonder why, oh, that's an amazing gift.
Oh, absolutely. I love that, because I'm finding that I'm having to unlearn constantly. And probably like most people, I hate being wrong about things. And I've now had to embrace my wrongness about so many things and just be, you have to check your ego and become humble and go, right, no, I was so wrong about that. I'm actually embarrassed and ashamed of that. But that's not useful. It's like, right, okay, now I know different. How do I move forward? And I'm now starting to enjoy that process of realizing I'm wrong. That means I'm growing. I've learned something new.
I think what you said is so key, the part of shame that we bring into it. I mean, I've written articles about things that I use, and Chris always talks like, okay, you always admit that you were not a feminist, and you are okay with that, I think. But for example, I carry a lot of shame because I used to be quite vocal anti-abortion rights, and I'm like, the damage I could have done. So when I sit down and write that article, was like, it was a lot to unpack and a lot of like, those are my feelings, this is what I believe, that this is how I feel. But again, shame is not useful. I mean, at some point you have to be compassionate. You believe what you believe because you were raised in the home what you were raised, you were in the bubble that you were, you've grown, you're better, you're doing your part now. that's it. And I think it's very easy, especially with social movements, to get stuck in the part of like shame, I did this wrong. It's like we've all done things wrong because the whole society is designed to keep us, just defending our privilege. So I think it also helps to empathize with the people that are in their journey. Sometimes I get extremely frustrated, mostly with men. And then I have to remember, like, well, I guess I thought something not that different that long ago. So if I could change, they can change. And I can see an element of like, look, we're all learning. And that's what gives me a lot of energy and hope to keep having this conversation. I could be challenging and not thinking like, okay, lost cause, move on.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we need so much more of that because there's so much polarization around all of these sorts of topics, and it is about listening and recognizing. Yeah, I was there. I'm maybe only 2 steps forward from there, but I've grown. I've changed. I love that. So thinking about those, obviously, I'm a career coach, and I want to help the women out there watching and who will watch on the replay. When you think about the stereotypes we learn as kids, how do you think that impacts us in later life, and particularly when it comes to career?
Well, I think one of the biggest one, it's all the likability ones. I think girls are taught to just, follow the rules, be liked, those are emotions that you're allowed to express. Those are, run away from anger, for example, just, and I think those things are really useful in a school, mostly because it makes the life of the teacher easier, but it's not very useful in real life. I mean, we are not, for example, encouraging them to play competitive games. Most games and toys and things that girls play are not based on competition, they're very nurturing, which is an excellent skill to have. But it
Mm.
would be better if it's have as well as an element of competition. Learn how to win, learn how to lose. That's life. um so yeah, that those things, I feel they're very obvious, and I do this exercise sometimes when I'm talking with my kids. I can see that same scenario in 20 years in like real adult life, and it's like, yeah, this is
Mm.
the time to correct it now. You want your kid to not be ashamed to speak up. You want her not to be always praised for being selfless. It's okay
Yeah.
to put yourself as well and to say, I've done this, or whenever, respect them whenever they say no, and set boundaries and celebrate them for setting boundaries, because we are toned down so much to not do it. And that is, again, career wise, it's just very difficult. You get to the environment and you want to be the person that is in charge of preparing the birthday card, the one that is noticing that your coworker is not being great, and those things are amazing. They change a lot the dynamic of the team, but we're not putting them into value. How we,
Yeah.
while also saying, hey, I've done this and this, and that has brought this and this. I want,
Yeah.
that back.
Absolutely. And I see that a lot with women, that fear of talking about themselves, about their strengths, about their impact. And I've seen it play out really interestingly, going back to do in real life networking, and how women barely say anything about themselves, downplay, and yet any of the men I've spoken to have managed to transmit every strength and a bit of amazingness they perceive they have for a good 20 minutes before even thinking to ask you a question. Or
Hard.
and
I was
it's like you have to interrupt to go, okay, that's great, I've loved hearing about that, how about something about me? And if you don't have the confidence to do that, then you're just going to be, you don't even exist.
and and the thing is that it's very difficult to have that confidence because the whole world wants you not to have the confidence. I mean, we've been told in many possible ways, like that we should not be, every time a woman says something good about herself, it's like, Like her hair's so full of herself, or what does she think she is? Oh, she's not that. And there's always something like, you can be human rights, amazing lawyer, but then it's like, oh yeah, she's not aging very well. Like, oh, but she's worn this before, or like, who cares? Like the amount of pressure, the way our currency is put into the way we look and into how much we're willing to give and care, like it's just very difficult. And we just we notice that we are like less whenever we dare to speak about ourselves, and nobody wants to be like less.
Hmm.
So we're just in that dilemma of, if I defend myself too much, then I'm gonna come across as this. But if I don't defend myself, I'm gonna come across as incompetent. So where is the line? And I think, like the mental load of having to navigate that, and a lot of the times it's unconscious. I don't think I think we are so used to downplay what we do, that it's not that we're going through the whole process of, it's just a reaction that we've got embedded in us now. Like whenever you're saying something about it, like, what do you do? You're like shrinking. Oh, I'm an author.
Hmm.
Like, even it's taken me so long to say I'm an author. While I used to be like, I'm an author, did you do public speaking? It's very easy to just downplay or feel uncomfortable, or what these people are gonna think about me. But nobody's gonna do that job for us. We're here expecting somebody's gonna come here and create the time and applaud me and be like, "You are awesome," but people don't.
No,
So we
that's
do.
my favorite thing. I always say to women, nobody's coming to fix it or
No,
sort it out.
exactly.
It's up to you, and it's never going to happen if you don't do it.
No one
Yeah,
is never gonna be in your comfort zone. Nobody comes and like to be like, "Hi, I've done that actually. Sorry, that was my idea," or "Oh yeah, I just said that before." And I think that's where my favorite part of feminist, which is sisterhood, like that sorority of just, I'll do it for you, do it for me, makes this journey much easier, because it's much easier to just use your space to tell, sorry, I was listening to her before, like, do you mind? It's much easier to do that for somebody else rather than for yourself. So
yeah,
using that, let's have each other back. Let's just ignore the way they're telling us that women hate each other, because we don't. We just generally do love each other and support each other and help each other. So let's just tap into that more unapologetically.
yeah, absolutely. There's people watching. If you've any questions, feel free to post them. We'll be happy to answer. I can't see who it is, but they've said it's a really interesting conversation. Lots to think about. I'm glad you're finding it helpful. It's interesting. I was at a panel last night of senior leaders, women leaders in tech, and so they were asked, obviously, what sexism have they come up against, what have they experienced, and whether you know you have or you don't, you have experienced it. But one example was, being the most senior leader in the room, and yet them assuming you're the office manager, or you're in a role where you might expect to find a woman, like HR or finance. And I'm really interested to hear what tips you can give for dealing with scenarios like that, where you're on the receiving end of overt or covert sexism, and how you can handle it.
Well, we've actually made a T-shirt that says "Would you say to a man?" That it's quite handy because I think you could just refer like "Hi." Uh, but yeah, I think a lot of the sexist question come back to that question. So I will just ask, like, if you've been like, "Oh, very interesting! Like, what a great opportunity to challenge somebody's views in a critical thinking exercise." Oh, that's very interesting. Why did you think it was the HR person, out of curiosity, and see how they get out of it? Because either they'll admit because you're a woman and then they'll have to face their own sexes, or they will be suddenly the ones in an uncomfortable situation because they don't want to admit it. So they'll be like, "Oh, I thought I saw you before and I felt like," um but I think if we don't challenge those things, those will keep happening. And I can tell you that the person that has been challenged and has been have to tell you in your face, oh, sorry, I thought you were the admin because you're a woman. The next time he's in a room and there and there's a woman, they might bite their tongue. So you would not be able to avoid it for that time. But you might have done a favor to the next one up. And that will also make you memorable. And you
Yeah.
might come as, look, my sister, she's a doctor and she's an orthosurgeon, which is also very male dominated. And the amount of times that she is with a junior that she's teaching and they're talking to him and she's like, look, if you want him to operate, that's completely fine, but I have 12 years of experience and he has 1 year, so up to you. And I'm like, no, sorry. But I was like, you know what, like if I'm gonna be the one with the knife, just talk to me.
Yeah.
Or can you just change this? They will ask her thing. There's like, no, sorry, I'm not a nurse, but I'll call a nurse immediately. And a lot of times they're male nurses. But
Yeah, I was just going to say my brother's a male nurse. Well, my brother's a nurse, and he gets the opposite. Yeah, where he's
and you just be like,
assumed.
no clue what I know, but let me call a doctor. Yeah, I think those things are so embedded. Like Eric, yesterday we were playing, and we're actually playing doctors, and he said, Nora wanted to play too. So Nora and Eric are my kids, and Eric said, "Oh yeah, my assistant will come now," and I was like, "Oh, the other doctor in the practice, like this practice that is run by two doctors." So the other doctor is like, so small, but he's like, no, I'm gonna correct this thing because I don't want him to suddenly think it's okay to call his sister assistant. And again, I don't think in his head yet there is a proactive element of sexism, but it's what he's seen already in TV. That's what that he's seen in books. So it's like, no, not in this house, no.
Yeah,
So the power of small tweaks, the power of critical thinking, challenge things, and just don't let, just because it's a small, I'll just let it go. No, just fight every fight if you have the energy.
yeah. I know it is. Sometimes you have to
Yeah,
point
like
your energy in the direction with what you can cope with at the time. But it is important to catch those small things. And it is a simple challenge of, why did you think that? What's the thought processes behind that? And people will have to think, and it may be an uncomfortable few moments while you
it
go
really
through
is.
that. But yeah, better that
But
than
we're
carrying on.
but we're again, and that comes back, like we're so trained to be polite and to be invisible
Mm,
and quiet and likable. There's like, I would not like to offend this man or this person that has offended me. So I'll just take it and just then just make a rant in the car with my friend rather than face it because I don't want to offend his ego. It's like, well, again, it's a matter of like if you say politely and if you
yeah,
ask it as a question, then it's okay to be uncomfortable. I've been uncomfortable a lot of times, and that's how we grow. We
yeah,
grow like out of
absolutely.
the comfort
Yeah,
zone. We
you
grow when
don't grow from getting it right.
nobody grows from being applauded. Oh my God, you're so smart. You got everything right. No, there's no growth. So take it as a favor that you're doing to them
Yeah.
rather than a disservice.
And actually, like they have just made you feel uncomfortable by making that statement or doing the thing. And so it's saying, oh, it's okay for me to feel uncomfortable, but it's not okay for you. And no, uh, enough of that. Yeah.
And there is uncomfort on challenge people, but again, uncomfort is important. The first two times you're uncomfortable. The fourth time is like bring it in. you know? So yeah, no, 100%. I'm the one who's like, come on, give me a fight. What can we fight about today? It's addictive at the end.
Okay, so we are running out of time here. If you were gonna give the watchers of this, so thinking about women and their careers, what have you any last tips or thoughts that you think would make a difference for them
Um,
progressing, pushing past these
well,
barriers and stereotypes?
there's one thing I'm doing now, and talk about it in my book, but I do it in general, but I think it's very useful as well in career. And is, what would you like your younger self, or in my case, I do it with my daughter. How will I like my daughter to react in this reaction? Will I like her to care about it? So if it was your daughter, or if it was your niece, or a young girl that you love personally, and she was in your situation, how would you like, how would you like her to react, or what kind of attitude? And if we are willing to give that to them, if we want that for them because it's good, why can we not grab it for ourselves? Why is this not okay for us? So I think we need to love ourselves as much as we love our daughters, our nieces, our, as the idea of young girls. So, and if we're not able to do it for ourselves, because sometimes it's do it for them because they're watching and we are shaping the landscape for them. So if you think like, oh, I don't want to fight for this because I'm not worth it, don't do it for you, although you're worth it. Don't even entertain that idea. Do it for the ones that are coming after, because we are where we are for those that, because others have done things for us. So every decision we make, every time we step up in the career, every time we set the tone, all those small things, the same way that the small things are bad for the way, when they're bad because they're sexist, the good things are so valuable. So all those victories make a huge difference for the ones coming after. So do it for them and for us and for the society. So just go and get it.
Yeah, you are literally changing the world by each of those small steps.
More.
Love it. Thank you so much, Virginia. If people want to buy your book or learn more about the Feminist Shop and read her blogs, are amazing. Where can they find you?
So thefeministshop.com, and just have a browse because there's lots of free content, resources and things. So not even sending you to buy, but just have a look.
But do buy.
But do buy as well. You have to buy. I won't stop you.
My favorite T-shirt is what is it? My favorite position is CEO. I love that.
One exactly. Just go for it. And the other one is, and my book is called Childhood Unlimited, and you can buy it anywhere from the evil Amazon and from the Family Shop. And if you do, please do leave a review. So even if you go in Amazon, no judgment, but please do leave a review. And yeah, just I'm very easy to contact. I'm on social media or anything, and I'm very approachable. So just talk to me if there's anything you want to know.
Brilliant. And I would say the book is definitely not just for parents. It is such a fascinating read. You will learn so much from it. So I would encourage anyone to read it and buy it for your friends.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Virginia. Really appreciate you joining me today. It's been a powerful chat as always, and maybe we'll have you back sometime.
Hopefully.
Take care. Bye.